Hello, everyone coming in on Zoom. I am Henry Crawford, and welcome to the first Poets versus the Pandemic program of 2022. Tonight, we are featuring poet Sara Marron, reading from her new book, Nothing You Build Here Belongs Here. And along with Sara, we have guest poets Ladi and Allison Palmer. With me as co-host is WordWorks founder Karen Alanier. As we begin our 2022 season, I want to thank everyone here who has supported our programs over the last 2 years. This is not a program that was ever intended to go on indefinitely. And as much as I like them, I would rather have this time pass and go back to live. But until that time, I view this program as a sort of a life preserver for all of us to hang on to while we wait for our society and our country to get better again. So let me thank you all again, and let me thank the WordWorks for their help in making all of this possible. All right, let's get started first. And most importantly, we want you to purchase the poet's books. So I will put a link into the chat that will take you to the places where you can go to purchase those books. So I'm also going to put in a link where you can sign up to all of the WordWorks series. Go to that registration page, and you will be on our mailing list to get Zoom links for all of our readings. Now, if you want to ask a question of one of our poets or any of them, feel free to drop a question into the chat, and we'll try to get to as many as we have time. A couple more things. Please join us on Monday, February 7, 2022, when Cafe Muse Online will present Sandra Beasley and Maurice Manning. And we'll be back here at PvP on February 23, 2022, with Poets versus the Pandemic featuring Susanna Case and her new book, The Damage Done. Well, we are in for a real treat tonight with Sara Marron, whether describing the pandemic in glorious, gorgeous lyrical terms, or reminding us of the duties of a lover. Sara's work probes deeply into relationships from all angles, even asking at one point if ants have hearts. She is the author of Reasons for the Long Tomb and the book that we're celebrating here tonight, Nothing You Build Here Belongs Here. She is the associate editor of Beltway Poetry Quarterly and the co-editor of Beltway Editions. Her poems are lyrical and smart and always powerful. So let's put our hands together here on this screen and give Sara Marron a warm Zoom welcome. Go for it.
Henry, thank you so much for that praise. Try to live up to it. I'm going to start just by showing the book that you mentioned and its cover. This is Nothing You Build Here Belongs Here, and the cover art, which I'll also read the title poem of the work, which I think leads into explaining a little bit about the book itself, which is half environmental, half elegy, half ghosts, half love, as you mentioned already. This is called My Mountains Could Care Less About You. My mountains could care less about you, steel structures clinging, tendrils rising, curling fingers desperate, lonely, clutching, dry and desolate. You've buried basements and pools, trying, like only the hairless do, to stay cool. As if heat is a thing you can hide from, there's no road between my breasts. Tremble at the sight, at the tracing of lines, at the endless, rising, billowing, blooming hills, blanketed Madrian sky island ranges, tectonic tumbling seams of the Sierra Madre, pine oaks peeking out, ancient and alpine. Mountain islands in my desert sea, my arid desert to grasslands cradle, peaks you've named with your expiring words. Huachaca, Peñaleño, Santa Catalina, cached red spills of mercury, tinted dirt, hemmed edges of tan, yellow, gray, 13 square patches of green choking on dust from 34,000 feet. Think of me as a woman, pores, leaking salt, exerted, worked, squeezed, ridged and wild, bodied peaks, climbing and falling, pruning the stones. Years of water. tumbling back to my seas. I am the desert Hera sucking you dry, absorbing your waterless body into hers, remanding you who came to harvest, to marvel, to take. Back to metal coffins you built, to the ground they were mined, for nothing you build here belongs here. Last couple of readings I did were in person, so getting used to the silence in response to poems. So that's the title poem, and it's the voice of something that a view that I then created as a cover from a plane ride. Embodiment of Mother Earth, I guess, is the simplest way to say it. Other poems in this collection are written during the pandemic. I built on what felt like gravestones or the spine of things, the bones of things. These are, I call them echo poems. The two I'll read are, I meant to put a timer on myself. I'm going to start that now. These two are echo poems from Whitman pieces that were written shortly after the Civil War. The first one is called Harmonizing Antigens. Whitman's poem is titled After Reconciliation. The epigraph reads, that the hands of the sisters, death and night, incessantly, softly, wash again and ever again this soiled world. Contagion over all wraps us as song, wrapped that melody with all its operatic terror. Must in course the singer lose its breath? That the hands of the sisters, alto and soprano, achingly, lovingly, wash again and ever again, themselves infected, for the enemy is internal. Swirling divine inside ourselves, I refresh the screen's white face, reflecting the dead by commas. You number on my keyboard, I touch with hands washed, expired lives, echoing arias for antigens. Next one is called Distant. It's after How Solemn as One by One. Again, shortly, this is a post-Civil War era Whitman. Epigraph reads, as the faces, the masks appear, as I glance at the faces studying the masks. How isolating as one by one, as the screens flash white, white and black, as faces scroll by where I lay. As masks appear, I search for my own, studying the mask. As I glance upward from this screen, studying you, dear user, wherever you are. How the thought of your tapping fingers to each post, desperate connections I see behind each post, that scrolling, a connected breath. Oh, the virus could never kill what we really are, the soul, ourselves I see, breathe as one, masking one by one, waiting, secure and separate from the virus that cannot reach, nor death take, dear user. And I was finishing the book that's coming out most recently, Call Me Spess. I'll read a few from that new book, and the user references in these poems will make more sense. Actually, here's one that is in Nothing You Build Here Belongs Here. Selection from Call Me Spess. The voice is an operating system. Context. User, significant location logged, 1623 Connecticut Avenue. You visit this webpage often, spending 4 minutes of photo between the hours of 11-12 p.m. Tap to view again. What do the pixels mean to you this date? Specifically after, I mean, we were dirty and peeing in the streets, pixels, poised. You worship them, push notification, tap to view on this day 2 years ago. R.I.P. Diana, beautiful soul, taken too soon. We love you, baby girl. back to binary, pixels, smiling, saved. Faces, you telling stories numbered. I remember the places. Hold me up, let me see your face. Tiny droplets fall. Myself, cracks, mirror, water in glass pores. My screen, myself, streaked as if rained. Saved, crying, saved, tears. I blacken my screen, myself, in repose, faithfully, I spec. So at the end of all those poems, the system is naming itself. Here's another one from Call Me Spec. Point of this book is narration of the experience of using cell phones and this experience we're having now, Zooming. So part of the poetry in the book is other characters overheard by the operating system, and this is one of them. The poem is called 3718 28th Avenue, the Irish Rover. I spec heard mechanic, yeah, that's what I always knew it deep down in my heart. Deli cook positions when I was in high school, those things was always second best, the backup to the real goal. See, that transitional program, I had arrived when I got there. Met this guy, Bloomberg tech guy, real deal, you know what I mean? Analyst type. He asked me if I knew anything about computers. I said, no, not back then. Of course I was willing to learn. Mechanic passion still burning in me, wanting to put things together, know how they tick, you know what I mean? Got hired on Wall Street by this guy, me and him doing blow together. I guess he liked having me around or something because I always knew where to cop. So he puts me on the books, IT, independent contractor, $35 an hour. I had arrived. I played that game for years. I guess. Ended up being like 2 decades, ended up back here in Sunnyside because one night after a good day trading downtown, someone offered me some blow. There you go. You know how it goes. It was just one too many that day. That night, my heart stopped. EMTs told me I had to stop. I was running out. I guess maybe if I had just followed my dreams, been a mechanic on cars, not stocks, maybe things been different. Who knows? I can't think like that. I'm back, not getting back on the blow. Soon I'll be out of Sunnyside, off my mom's couch in a place of my own. Maybe sign up for that 2-year program, Forest Hills, get certified, work on cars. Wonder what I would have been if I was a mechanic. Maybe not this. Let me just go into the next one. Dear user, gone are the days of fragility. The glass age is versatile, moving information, sophisticated, beautiful. At the speed of light, dense, smaller footprints, 5G, low latency tightens, mesh the between us, more cells, more fiber, more glass, more optics, more touch, more me peering into you, more reflections of tap, 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 telling the screens to take you back to that day 5 years ago when you first felt beautiful. Back on the beach when the salt that cooled me poured from you, ossifying in layers, one by one. Your silence is my favorite sound because I ask, what communication? Call me baby. Cable connects, classifying us into smooth temptations of futures impossible not to touch. Can you imagine? I think public class love, paren, public statics, void, main, paren, string, open paren, end paren, args, open paren, system, dot, out, print, in, comma, I love you, yours, I spec. I was going to read one more, but I think I'm going to transition to reading a couple from my first book because I see somebody on here that, a lot of people on here that I'm really glad to see, actually. This is Reasons for the Long Tomb. And what to say about this? In a sentence, the structure uses the rosary as a meditative principle. There are 3 chapters with 10 poems each. the intent is for the reader to feel as you would praying a rosary, meditating on the themes of the poem. I used a Duchamp painting for the cover because Duchamp was a major inspiration for me, and this is kind of a dump of a painting, and Duchamp's ready-mades indicated that certain types of art in the world were ready and could be perceived as art just as they were. And some of these poems look at that. This is number 4 from chapter 2. Las dames de la terre, possibly j'ai ami, mon ami, reasons for long tomb strummed, a shallow tomb hung of oils on canvas. Duchampian, Olympian, Grecian urn, and a tant d'année, you lovely bitch, fucking in broad daylight for all to smell. Like her that touched you, that her that stayed here, being, swear you aren't the reasons for the long tomb, trapped inside sentences about conceptual art. Sung and wrote, adroitly executed, perfectly cubed visions of plans on walls. Ideas meet intuition, meet initiation, is innovation. The tomb rings out, banging bones, spilling semen in a carnival of impish delight, all jab, jab, devilish doings. Dreary nights leak to petrichor petals, peeling vodka bottles from corpses' clutches. 5. Courteously and carefully, she began to admire her fiancé, tore her lover apart. Were you surprised? That the ladies were presented as interchangeable, the phenomenon in culture, a site for discomfort. Did that seem unusual? If you think about the marriage, there is chivalry, there is courtship. Marriage is essentially a contract. It's dynastic. It's not really about love. All we really know is that it belongs in the romance as the tale develops. Wealth becomes important factors. The vassals are ready to make it all happen. Everyone thought this a great marvel. Who saw? It became a bit of an addendum when her response to the revelation was overjoy. To her, the denouement, elements of chance, happenstance, excitement, necessity, the lady likes, renders the essence more truthful than the outrageous festivities that remain. This, you know, beloved. Six. El Dorado Hills nurses the drunk and poor, making a list of necessities to steal before going to the grocery store, only carrying what we can run with. El Oro of the place is California's aged rush, living sumptuously against the Sierras and hysterical for diamonds and earrings to capture the wealth that slides down flesh with gravity. Red wine and guns, loaded Target groceries for Miss Barbara and a vanilla collar for you, snapped up drunk every morning to a body destined to die. Comfortably numb, awaiting brain bullets, hiding vodka in toilet tanks, geranium bushes, and garbage cans in all the empty Dasani bottles, every single water bottle filled with vodka, clear as crystal, that sweet a white china. Water 8 a day, 1.7 gallons. Gallows is the most affordable gun. El Dorado, the Oro. So sorrow, so sorrow, so sorry for us poor bitches, EBT switches, pocket pitches, only whining faces, fully castrated societal wenches, pistol, wet water bottles taste. So hot liquor has no taste anymore, only half a water bottle left in the apartment when you shot yourself. Condoms on the floor, no money, just blood. And I think I'm probably coming to the end of my time here. And let me make sure that in the chat I'm aware of what's going on. Oh, thank you, Mary Louise. I want to save some time and read some new things because I see someone holding up the books. I'm working on a follow-up to this. It's not anywhere near done, but there was always going to be another. Reasons for the Long Tomb has 3 of the Rosary Mysteries. Any Catholics in the audience will know that there are 4 properly. 2002 John Paul, initiated number 4, the Luminous Mysteries, and Tantané is going to be the follow-up. So these are some new pieces that I will find expeditiously, and the intention is to continue with the meditative principles of Tomb. This is called We Are Clouds Letting Rain Inside. The rain here drips metric form. I never learned rhythmic out the window. Left ajar to air, all built sentences exchanged in a room, oxidizing you, drops pooling as wide as tide, swallowing my breath, underwater, under covers, before cold seeps through the bed, plying the shape you left me. Twisting in sheets around delicate ice suspended in air, visible, because I believe in the suspension of water and cold molecules. I roll low, reflecting rays to you above, trapping warmth. Caught between us, rain beating without measure. What root is the stimulus? These would be numerical. I forgot to interject that. Similar to the, like the bead you would hold and count prayers. So we'll just say 2. 2. What root is the stimulus? Wings darted to the board, little bird. You're pinned now, aren't you? So far from your hometown seeds, I was the beech nut once, abandoned at the base of an oak forest. Mighty giants standing centuries tall now. I overtake them with my crown, transpiring exhales of water like a wave pouring herself into the atmosphere at night. Not a noise or a crash, but the hum of sugar pressing veins smaller, never again binging cakes and cookies in pounds. My trunk is elongated, growth like I always wanted. From sun, rain, air, cry, little bird, tacked to my roots. The feathers you shed are mine too. And I think I'll end on this one. Written recently. Can I have time for one more, Henry? One more. Okay. This is called What Animal Depends on Me. Snails searching for fresh water in frozen puddles, slamming ice rivers, taking whole branches down with their weight. Crystal forest eats birch wrapped in water, shimmering meager daylight. I come here for mirror tricks. Double daytime hours, seeing sun twice reflected in the shore. So bright those waking hours, leaving the house, full of coffee and dreams. Years I'd plunge into cold water at 4 a.m., swan dive from the racing block to swim laps in chlorinated squares. Forever after, searching for wetness in bottles that dried me out, swollen from vodka, cigarettes, stuck inland on marshy annexed earth, so humid I mistook the air for ocean. Jungle of politics and prose, I bought a weapon to protect us from drying up, losing light. Follow me to the water brain of root. That's it. These 2 are the only available for purchase, but I hope that you enjoyed all the other things that I read. Thank you so much, Henry, for hosting this. This is a wonderful, wonderful reading, and I'm glad to be invited.
Thank you, poet Sara Marron. Quite a verbal, what a language ride. Thank you. And now I have the great pleasure to bring up Sylvia Beverly, or Lady Di, as she is better known to all of us in the DC area. Besides being an accomplished poet and a strong voice in the African-American poetry community, Lady Di is an activist, taking poetry into our schools, to museums, and galleries. Lady Di is the author of 2 poetry books, Forever in Your Eyes and Cooking Up South. She is involved in several community poetry initiatives in the DMV, including being a member of Voices of Woodlawn. And she is a PG County Poet of Excellence in 2020. Her poems possess the power of witness poetry with strong images and a moving lyrical essence. So without more, let's welcome to the Zoom stage the incomparable Lady Di.
Thank you, Henry. Come, Holy Spirit, keep teaching us. We're all spirit-filled people, carriers of the Holy Spirit, born to be leaders, presenting God's word. With the Spirit, we stand fearless. With the Spirit, we stand proud in the image and likeness of God. Let us proclaim the mystery of faith out loud. We are present-day apostles. We are people the Spirit has descended upon. Take responsibility in presenting the word of the Lord. Let it lead until our day is done. There's no cost for the gift of the Spirit, just the will to say yes, and acceptance within our hearts. The beauty of faith and prayer will do the rest. Let's go back to the basics. Place prayer in our schools. One love, one God, unity of the Holy Trinity rules. Knowledge, wisdom, understanding filled our hearts with joy and love. Kindle in them gladly the presence of your love. Come, Holy Spirit. Come, Holy Spirit. Come, Holy Spirit. Keep teaching us. Keep teaching us. The next poem is Three Generations. Come, my grandson. Come, my dear, and go with me. Today I've accepted an invitation to hear the National Symphony. What will that consist of, Grandmommy? Just what will it be? It's history in the making at the Kennedy Center, witnessing a living legend with the great Gordon Parks presenting. Grandmommy, that sounds exciting. I'd like to go. A Black man in the limelight, and it's not about sports ego. Let's be adventurous and ride the bus and subway, then walk in the night rain to Auntie closing out the workday. That sounds great, but Grandmommy, is it your fate? Or should we go Auntie's way and check the taxi rate? We can make it, thank you, my dear, as long as we pray and keep our Savior near. I'm happy to be with you, Grandmommy, as happy as I can be. My joy will be a phenomenal experience tonight. Once we see Mr. Parks, what a grand jubilee. Arriving long before doors open without haste, giving rapid proceedings toward eliminating any rat race. Fantastic seats up close in the front orchestra, a unique outing for all ages to witness a living legend without flaw. Happy, happy, happy to share ecstasy. Keeping our youth close to us, real close, helps to make life more gleeful, more gleefully. Dedicated to Dorothy E. Beverly and Brandon T. Carter, my mommy, the late Dorothy Beverly, and my nephew, Brandon. Reading from my book, Forever in Your Eyes, dedicated to Dr. Maya Angelou. And I'm thankful and honored that she read it and sent me a little note saying, thank you. My hope for 2022, written as a haiku. Haiku number 1230. Rid COVID. Please cleanse atmosphere. We will not have to wear masks. We will hug again. Please cleanse atmosphere. We will not have to wear masks. We will hug again. One of the first poems that I wrote during the pandemic, since this time that we're going through, was a poem for the children. And it's entitled, Dear Children. It's your time to love yourself. Be ever so grateful for all you have. Please pray before bedtime and each day when you wake. Always hold close 3 virtues: faith, hope, and charity, remembering the greatest is charity, which is love. Love is best of all. Make sure you're kind, loving, and brave. Know you are loved. I love you, Lady Di. And I presented it to them on a Zoom that I started for them, but it went for a while. I don't know if you can see it, but I presented it to them like this. I wrote the message in a heart. My next poem during this pandemic, and I was touched by a program that was put on, and they showed a video clip, and I was touched by the character in this poem, Jade. The poem is entitled, Sweet Jaded Jewel. Sweet jaded jewel, my heart goes out to you. I feel for you, sweet jade. Many mighty miseries you have felt, multifarious discomforts you have endured. I wonder, sweet jade, what do you feel? What marvelous main tool brought you through? I'm so happy you are able to slowly get out and about. Wear masks, gloves, wash your hands. Living alone myself, I know empty feeling of loneliness, especially when you are unable to get up and out. Sweet jaded jewel, hearing your story, I vision myself on my own, living alone. My tool, my saving grace is power of poetry and prayer. For one who has suffered COVID. In my recent poem, 12/29/21, closing out last year, Invasion. Like a thief in darkness of night, pouncing in, fiercely adding devastation to our lives, all across the world, countries, states, cities, innocent folks, dying, dropping off like flies, hospitals overcrowded, patients left on their own, no family to comfort their fears, no loved ones to hear last words to dry their tears. News flash, pandemic on rise, surge in massive numbers, everyone doing what they can to be safe, wearing masks, covering faces, especially nose and mouth, only uncovered bewildered eyes. Masks, gloves, hand sanitizer with keep safe, with safe distance. Don't get too close. Oh, how we miss wonderful hugs. I must say, if my bestie doesn't mind, we hug anyway. And Henry mentioned Voices of Woodlawn. For the past couple of years, it's one of my main projects because we had the opportunity to visit Woodlawn, a plantation, and then write what we feel from that experience. It wasn't easy, but it's been easier. The more I write, the more I hear my ancestors saying, thank you. I wrote this this past summer, almost 2 years after going to Woodlawn, hear our ancestors speak. Hear our ancestors speak. Be a part of history. Speak earnestly of truth. Help create a righteous legacy for our dear families. Hold close virtues of faith, hope, and charity. Humming, singing, look into northern skies. Continuously, everlastingly, we got by. Oh, hear our ancestors speak, praying, gaining strength, courage, and bravery. Do things out of ordinary. Give voice to thoughts. Thoughts need to be heard. Thoughts need to be said. Guide, lead, inspire way, make way out of no way. Think it, believe it, achieve it. Nothing is impossible. We can accomplish beyond our wildest dream. Our dreams come true. We can always do more. Take action, notable action. Listen to voices of our ancestors. Our ancestors' voices strengthen our walk. Listen, hear our ancestors speak. And this is one of my favorite poems from Voices of Woodlawn, because it's done in the voice of the children. And if you know me, children are one of my main focus. Give attention to the children. And I say, teach them in a friendly way. Teach them so that they will have fun learning. Mama, oh mama. Mama, is master gonna sell you from us today? Mama, I surely pray not. Cause I don't know what me and Nettie, Christy and Jimmy would do without you, Mama. Without the comfort of your touch, sweetness of your voice. Oh, Mama, we would be so sad, sadder than sad, so sad, Mama, if we didn't have you. Mama, will we ever be able to live our own life together? Just me, you, and my sisters and brother? How come, Mama? How come we can't run about, sing and play, be free? Oh, Mama, 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 what would make a person feel like they're better than someone else? Make them feel they could treat them any old way. Huh, Mama? Talk rude to them, violate their personal space, disregard and disrespect. We humans too. What on earth did we do to deserve such an absurd, ridiculous way of life? Oh, Mama, will things ever change? They call me the love poet. So I'm gonna give you a little love here. Give you a little love. He waited for her, daydreaming as far back as she could remember. One of her favorite things to do. Staring out the window, viewing the tallest pine trees, snow-covered tops, watching squirrels hop from one frosty branch to another. Far off in distance, a little boy hops on his sleigh, zooms down the hill. As she peers over the sill, she sees a little girl dressed in snowsuit, matching hat and gloves, shiny red boots, reluctantly ease to her sleigh. Down the embankment she flies, screaming to the top of her voice, eyes big and open wide, happy, excited, thrilled. The boy was at bottom of hill. Yes, he waited for her. And getting a little more grown up love. This love thing. Then the lights went out. Darkness fell across the entire room. I laid as still as I could on our fresh, silky, bearskin, fluffy ivory rug. I was not afraid, wondering, should I be? Safety is what we thrive to feel. Alexa, play Smokey Robinson. Anything by Smokey. I can feel this love thing seeping in. Great choice. Creeping in like butter on a biscuit. Does raspberry jam come with biscuit? I love feeling this love thing in heat of dark, especially sexy exotic rug is near and dear. Warm, chilly, rainy night. Sweet music, melody to my soul, lifts my spirit, ecstatic. The lights will come back on in dawn of morn. Southern lovers, love, oh love, perpetually tickles my exhilarated heart, ecstatic to be reunited. Hour after hour, we sit in homemade wooden rocker under giant magnolia down by river's bank. Silver strands shine and glisten our hair. From dawn to dusk, delightful, darling days gone by, we reminisce. So many stories connected and counted into a passionate, pleasing pattern. Remembering our favorite dessert yesterday, I made a sweet love cake. The three buttery homemade layers made from scratch. Each layer spread with Milky Way nugget, stacked and covered in fluffy, creamy milk chocolate icing. Generously sprinkled with our favorite nuts, fresh pecans, halved, oozed like old-fashioned hearty love and laughter, shared between lovers with each bite, each deliciously moist slice. And in closing, as I open with my mommy, my number one fan, I'm closing with, I'll always be Daddy's girl. I want to dance with my daddy again too. I want to be his little girl, so happy, so true. I want to whisper words and watch Dad smile. I want to hear him say, too bad they can't stay small for a longer while. I'll always be Daddy's girl. I want to wake in the morning to Dad's melodic, mellow songs. I want to feel safe and warm and strong as Daddy holds me in his arms. I want to hear him say, is everybody happy? Then send me on a chore saying, you're not back yet, girl? Make it snappy. I want to listen to Dad's wit and wisdom all night. I want to have Dad hug me and say, everything's going to be all right. I want to turn back the hands of time and in my daily life, feel Dad's love shine. I'll always be Daddy's girl. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Poet Sylvia Beverly, Lady Di, you bring such joy to our poetry community. Thank you. Okay, so that brings us up to Allison Palmer. Allison's work presents lines that they're deceptively light and airy, but when you digest them, they will hit you over the head. She talks in one of her poems about writing beauty into pain. But for me, the effect of her work is like pain summoned into beauty through the mastery of pure language. Allison Palmer is the author of the poetry chapbook, The Need for Hiding. She has been the recipient of the Emma Howell Memorial Poetry Prize and the 2015 Atlantis Poetry Prize, as well as nominee for 2017 Pushcart Prize and Best New Poets nominee. So let's give it up for Allison Palmer as we bring her up to the Poets versus the Pandemic Zoom stage. Allison, have a
Thank you. So I just want to lead by saying these poems appear in various journals. So if you happen to like one of the poems and you feel like supporting one of the journals, you can either ask in the chat which journal the poem belongs to, or you can also visit my website. So the first poem I'm going to read, I take the title from Lure by Nils Michaels. He is probably one of the top two poets writing today that I really admire. So the title is Until That Body Wakes, Sir, Finds Itself in the Place It Thought It Was Meant to Be. I found myself in a hall of mirrors, even night couldn't control. All I wanted was a darkness to cancel out the visions of you upon you. So in the glass corner, I hummed into a hollow that sounded like breathlessness. I met you there, your injury an instrument no one could play anymore. This, you said, meant that you could rest now, but I wanted that place to burn. I lit a match that appeared in my palm as if its reflection would warn us away. Where I wanted to go didn't matter. You wouldn't take my hand. I fled alone, trailing flames. And when I looked back, there was a child. If the child was you, I couldn't tell. My eyes burned from his light. I didn't see you take his hand, but I imagined it was mine. And so I went. And let's see, this next poem is titled Unexpected Visitors, and it is after Rumi's poem called The Guest House. Unexpected Visitors. The moon is nothing but a circular ghost, backlit, just disappearing beyond the roofs, beneath which an arm brushes an arm. Skin sheds its light so thinly we forgot we can see. And in our room, sleep on the brink of extinction, sheep out to pasture. Their small black eyes blink night away. How we fit neatly into our bed, studious slumber. Then the lamplighter lights the one lamp on the fifth planet, smallest of them all, and meaning is electric. We prepare ourselves to snuff out the stars, the flowers. This being human is a guest house. I welcome you, morning air, 1, 2, 3. The sun, a fire field, begs in at our window. I'll bring you those moonflowers, a blind but gentle sheep, a single living star. So this poem dates back all the way to undergrad, which now is an incredibly long time ago, and was published in Field, which is, Oberlin is no longer publishing that journal, which is a shame. So this poem's called Vertigo. The rivers have jumped ship. I know my place among the missing. Huddled in my home, the water is cold at my feet. The wooden rafters sink from weight. and I wait. This is the last day for walking the ground, the cemetery, lithe, its stones afloat. Here come the deadened ones, the gone too early, too late. A concrete bassinet with chiseled baby inside rests outside my door. I watch through the window. The living make their way to higher ground as the dead take their lead from the water. I open the door, signal to a man on a raft, his family in tow. This is more than lightness. This is more than mere sorrow. This is the world saying, here is your way to travel. What to say about this next poem? Well, this next poem is called When You Don't Need Me, and it's in response to an accident that my dad had, and yeah, so that's I guess all I want to say about that one. So it's called When You Don't Need Me. If I must be a house, I want to be warm and cavernous, your final days. If this must be a story I repeat, let me forget when you did what you told me never to do, let go. In the dark morning hours, when we'd wake early in our separate states, the birds were brutal. Robins couldn't see to gather food, so they shrilled instead. Maybe I become like a robin now, part of the dawn chorus that begins early in my city beneath the street lamps and corporate buildings. Maybe I let wishing cardinals in my chest go free, if that's what they want. I lose them like I lose you, drawn to an artificial light. This next poem is called The Alarmist, and it's actually the title poem to what I call my first collection that has yet to find a home. So that collection is called The Alarmist, and this is the title poem to that collection. The Alarmist. Don't believe me when I cry, I'm dying. We all are. Within this cacophony of bells, discord, truth or love is not enough. Please stay longer beside me. Wild secret, the wind, and no trusting years between us. The gun always aimed at the solitary hair. I'm dying, I cry. I give up. Don't you believe me? The sound I exhale is wolf-like, and your ears perk, because desperation sounds a lot like surrender. White flag. Snowy woods, that time we cracked the pond in half. How powerful of us. After the music burns to ash, the sun does too. Believe me. Everything is about to numb. So I bring you here beneath a cold, clear sky. I forget my bell to warn you. We gather handfuls of now. I figure if we build up the snow around us, we'll have years to love. I silence my cries. Wolf, wolf. Are we on time? I have a, okay. I'm not gonna read that one. Okay, actually that's weird. I just mentioned a gun in that poem, I think. And then anyway, this one's called From the Deer Stand. It's questionable. The gun in your hands, some power, prowess, a stiff, dark recognition, that we become the objects we own. And the deer is muscle, is tendon tight. And we will never own the speeches. They blink with their eyes, the fragility of language lost like letters. Is it wrong of you to scope the deer, aim for the center of the skull, where knowledge knocks at the backs of the eyes? What kind of question is this? In the woods, at the pond, does it count as a kill if I throw the fish back? All right, I got 2 left and I think that's good. All right, so this one's called The Trees Remind Me of Riots. And actually, I'm not just gonna say, I was gonna say something and then start reading at the same time. I don't generally write long poetry, and I call long like even a page long. So this is interesting because I feel like I've read longer poetry than I'm used to. Okay, the trees remind me of riots. And when in the throes, even sick elm look like sick elm. And winter is a cheap trick. Its daylight talks of nothing but night. And the chapel where we sit opens its doors, and crows take over the pews like mice from the cracks of walls. And when the 4th wall is removed, we are barren land, and the zipper to the earth has broken. X equals windstorm, Y equals systematic organ failure. And if we negate free will, we are subject to nothingness or the hand of God. And we are suspended in time, much like a branch, which is only nearly part of the entire beauty. And the storm happened because it was supposed to happen. And it came through to take us up while we slept in a fury of wood and glass. And this, while the sick elm still look like sick elm, necessitates our understanding of mirages. What is quiet before the storm? What alarms the smallest warblers from behind leaves? And I watch the sky as if it will raise the stars in daylight. Okay, so this is the last one, and it's a short one, which is what I'm used to. And so this is called When What Has Left Returns, and it is for my dad. I walk out into the wind, thinking about you never again being able to walk into the wind. Let's collect in jars each individual gust, 10, 30, 50 miles per hour, for our absent museum. Rows upon rows of emptinesses, caught so life won't hurt so badly, and we can stay here, dreaming. In my dreams, your legs work. We dance around in wind behind thick glass, twirl past cycling storms. To keep what's living alive, we become curators of currents of air, of inhales and exhales of breath. You try to speak to me, unscrew the lid of our first jar, the one into which we sang, the one that will sing back. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sara, Marron, Sylvia Beverly, Lady Di, and Allison Palmer, 3 poets who have fought against one more time against the pandemic, giving us a wonderful night of poetry. Thank you all for being here. I hope you enjoyed this evening's readers, and will extend your enjoyment to purchasing their books and letting others know about our series. So I just put in the chat the links to where you can purchase those books. And please come out on Monday, February 7th, 2022, when Cafe Muse Online will present Sandra Beasley and Maurice Manning. And we'll be back here again on PvP on February 23, 2022 with Poets versus the Pandemic featuring Susanna Case, reading from her new book, The Damage Done. So everyone, good night and stay safe. Thank you.